China's space program and lunar mission. On the 11th of January 2019, the lander of Chang'e-4 as well as rover has separated, and we have achieved the separate photoing of each other, and the live stream information has been normal, and we can see that the relay satellite has successfully supported the communication. The lander, rover, as well as the relay satellite have all been normally functioning, and we have achieved the goal that we can investigate the environment on the moon, and this kind of lunar mission has achieved success. It is the first time in human history for a lander to land on the far side of the moon. And it is the first time for us to achieve the test communication between the Earth and the Lunar surface. And it is with the support of the CPC Central Committee with President Xi Jinping as its core. And it is an effort to implement the innovation strategy, and it is an effort to build a community of shared future for all human beings. Since 2016, the Chang'e lunar mission has been approved. It has been constituted with 2 missions, and one is for May 21st, 2018. We have the successful launch of Chang'e-4 relay satellite in Xichang Satellite Center. And this relay satellite has been moving at the L2 point successfully. It has achieved the communication between the moon as well as the Earth. And on the 28th of December 2018, Long March 3B has transferred and taken the lander and Chang'e-4 mission to the moon. And we can see the U2 rover has transmitted the first ever image of the moon surface. And it is the first time for the world to have a soft landing and roving on the far side of the moon. And later on, we will have the investigation on the landing sites for the crust and mantle of the moon. It will also investigate on the space as well as the environment. And we will have the radio investigation for the distance as well as the other experiments on the moon surface environment. For opening up has always been our principle. We can see for Chang'e-4, it has 13 payloads, including the cooperation with the Saudi Arabia, Sweden, Netherlands, as well as Germany. It has also been attached the Longjiang microsatellite, and we have also cooperated with Russia for the RHU, and it can help the Chang'e-4 mission to go through the cold weather at night on the moon. And China and the US have also substantial cooperation, and we utilize the US satellite on the lunar orbit, LRO, to have the observation on Chang'e-4 mission. And this mission has various innovations. It is the first time for the human being to achieve soft landing on the dark side of the moon. And it is the first time for us to have a relay communication between moon surface and the Earth. And it's the first time for the lander and the low-frequency observation on the surface of the moon. And for the precision and launch of the rockets have also achieved the world class. And it's the first time for the and we have a lot of various cooperation. And the success of Chang'e-4 has drawn the congratulation notice from the Central Committee, and we can see some international organizations, space agencies, space science institutions, some heads of state, governmental officials, international counterparts such as NASA, Roscosmos, and ESA, as well as all the friends who care about China's space, express their congratulations to the success of the Chang'e-4 mission in various ways. Director of the UN Office for Outer Space Affairs, Samantha People said the Chang'e-4 mission marks an incredible milestone in the history of space exploration, and this is not only a great success for China, but also a key step of international space community. The media in many countries have paid attention to Chang'e-4 mission and continue to report the event. Here, on behalf of China National Space Administration, I would like to express our heartfelt thanks to international counterparts, international friends, and the domestic and international media friends. The Lunar exploration program will achieve the three-step objectives, which is orbiting, landing, and sample returning by 2020. Since its approval by the Central Committee of CPC and the State Council in 2004, China has implemented 5 missions including Chang'e-1, Chang'e-2, Chang'e-3, re-entry experiment, and Chang'e-4 with a successful rate of 100%. And for this lunar mission has established a comprehensive infrastructure, and following the US in Europe, we have a global layout, and we have nurtured a high-caliber professionals, and we have accumulated the lunar exploration spirit of pursue our dream, brave in exploration, breakthrough by coordinated effort, win-win through international cooperation. Dear friends, we can see that the lunar exploration project will be in full undertaking. By the end of this year, we are scheduled to undertake the Chang'e-4 moon sample return mission, and the first Mars exploration mission will be carried out by 2020. Based on peaceful utilization, equality, mutual benefit, and inclusive development, we will cooperate and join hands with other countries for the space exploration, and we will forge ahead in the building of community of shared future for human beings and promote the human civilization and social progress. Thank you. And now my colleagues and I would like to answer your questions. Thank you. Now the floor is open to questions. Please identify your news agencies first. Thank you from CCTV. So my question is for this Chang'e-4 mission. We can see on the far side the landscape has been complex. What are the challenges for the probe and rover, and how we address these difficulties? I will answer your question on the soft landing part. The communication, relay communication is a prerequisite, and the complex landscape is also a challenge. And on the far side of the moon, to have the soft landing, for security purposes, we need to have 2 measures. First, we need to be very precise, high-precision landing. Only by increasing the precision, we can find a safe land site. And to realize this precise landing, we take several measures. We have delicate design for the orbits, and we have a careful investigation for the land, and we can ensure that the landing site, the original position, satisfy our requirements. And in all the landing process, we have the precise navigation, and among the 450 kilometers of landing process, we can achieve a very precise landing. And from the actual condition, we can see that the expected precision has been achieved. And in complex landscape, we need to have a highly reliable landing. And as the landscape is complex and the ups and downs are in the range of 7 kilometers, and for the landing process we have a different design other than Chang'e 3, so as to avoid the influence of the landscape on the landing. And in the whole process of landing, we take the initiative through relaying. We can avoid the obstacles to the lander, and we try to find the safest spot for the landing. And for the images and the information we get, we can say in the whole process of landing, we have been effective in avoiding the obstacles, and we can land at the designated point and time. And for rover, you can see after we land, the image for the landscape has shown that these ups and downs are substantial, and we have a lot of impactor. And this is also a challenge for the rover. And we have two aspects and two mirrors. One is very specific planning. We can see through the image sent back by the rover, we can re-establish this kind of model, and we can design more appropriate route. And we try to find a safer place to rove on. And then we give full play to the rover, to its competence. And the rover is able to take the initiative in avoiding obstacles. And the rover will have recalculation for a new route in the case of obstacles. And we can see the rover has the adaptability in avoiding the obstacles or climbing the slope. And we can say for the neighboring landscape, according to our existing knowledge, there's no obstacles that we cannot get over with. Thank you. From Russia, I have two questions. The Russian Space Corporation has announced that it has decided to cooperate in 2018 and 2022 with China to include the research and opening up exchange. So would you introduce what are the projects in question and what are the progress nowadays? And secondly, will China consider the possibility of sending Russian astronauts to the space station established by China, and will this Chinese space station replace those international ones? And we can see Russia is an important partner for China in space missions. And now we have regular meeting between prime ministers and premier. And we have regular meeting annually. And we will implement the projects with consensus reached. We will incorporate that into the outline for space cooperation between both countries. And the latest outline and guideline is the 2018 to 2022 Space Cooperation Guideline. And under this guideline, we have several items, also including the investigation probe for the moon, the satellite communication, as well as other aspects. And here, for the moon and deep space cooperation, they are one of the priorities for our follow-up cooperation discussion. And we have specific task forces. And our task forces have in-depth discussion, and in the preliminary discussion result, we will cooperate with Russia Lunar 26, and we will combine the cooperation with China's landing on the South Pole area of the moon. If we have further specific information, we will let you know. And you talk about the space station. I can give you a rough introduction for China. We are still in the process of building the space station. It is expected that by 2022 we will have established the space station. For the manned space program as well as space station, China has cooperated with Russia, France, Germany, and European Space Authority. And later on, we hope that we can have the cooperation in terms of manufacturing of equipment, training for astronauts, as well as medical aspects. Especially in May 2018, the UN Outer Space Committee has announced with China that we invite all the countries across the world to participate into the payload, both inside and outside the space station, and we are undertaking this work. And we welcome all the countries and scientists to participate in this kind of endeavor.
谢谢主持人。中国日报记者提问，两个问题啊。第一个问题是，这次呢，嫦娥4号任务呢，
From China Daily.
国外研制的这个科学载荷。
The first question is that for this Chang'e-4 mission, it has a lot of payloads from foreign countries. The data accumulated by these foreign payloads, will these data be open to international society? And you have also mentioned about international cooperation, especially for the crewed space exploration. Last year, China and France have launched different kinds of satellites. So for China's space program, what are the policies in terms of international cooperation? And what are the specific steps next?
For
the CNSA has paid attention to international cooperation even in the very early stage of Chang'e-4, and we are willing to offer opportunity for our international peers. In April 2015, CNSA has officially sounded around about the payload from the international community. We have gathered about 20 payloads from 10+ countries. Through careful selection, we have decided that Germany, Netherlands, Sweden, and Saudi Arabia, these payloads will be attached to Chang'e-4 lander, rover, the Yu-2 relay satellite, as well as our mission. And for these payloads, we will cooperate with the researching countries, and we will form international scientists group so that we can have follow-up study of the data collected by these payloads. And on Chang'e-4, apart from foreign payloads, we have 9 Chinese payloads with independent research. And these payloads will gather the data, and CNSA are willing to cooperate with our peer organizations, research institutes, and people interested in this aspect. We will share the data collected by Chinese payloads, and for the specific procedures, the CNSA has referred to a management guideline for the space exploration, and this guideline will be on our website, and you can refer to that later on. And for international cooperation, China has always resorted to open cooperation in terms of space programs, and we focus on mutual benefit, equality, and inclusive development, and we want to serve the human civilization and the community of shared future. And up until now, CNSA has cooperated and signed bilateral agreements with 39 countries. We have participated in 18 international organizations. And for the international cooperation, in terms of space programs, have achieved a lot in recent years. In 2018, China has celebrated the 30th anniversary for the cooperation. between China and Brazil. And China and Brazil have cooperated in launching 4 satellites offering services not only to China and Brazil, but also the information to other countries. If you talk about the satellites co-launched by China and France, it is launched in October, 29th of October last year. And these satellites will satisfy the needs for maritime services, and this satellite will also offer the service for monitoring the global maritime environment. And for last February, we have cooperated with Italy, and both countries will establish joint committees and groups to further develop such endeavor. And for meteorological satellite launched last year, Fengyun 2, it is to better satisfy the needs for the application of BRI countries, and we have expanded the coverage from 86 degree east longitude to 79 degree west, and that is to further expand the coverage. And we will also implement the UN consensus in the peaceful exploration for outer space, and we will want to achieve the vision for a community of shared future. And in the following sphere and following days, we welcome all of you to participate in the follow-up lunar exploration or deep space exploration programs. It is also about the payloads or joint research and any other ways. And we are actually planning a landing on the south pole of the moon, and we will offer about 10 kilograms of payloads on the rover as well as on the lander. And for Chang'e-4 relay satellite, it can be used for 3 to 5 years. We welcome the international community to utilize this relay satellite for the research on the moon surface, and we are also willing to cooperate with the international community in terms of communication satellite, space study satellites, so as to better serve the development of human society and to contribute to the community of shared future.
谢谢主持人啊，中国新闻社记者提问。嫦娥4号是被誉为探月工程4期的首次任务。
From China News Service,
在接下来
and for Chang'e-4, it is regarded as the first mission of the 4th stage of lunar exploration program. And what are the other plans, and what are the plans for China's deep space exploration? And for the lunar program, the Chinese government has divided certain stages for the rotating, landing, and returning. So that is the 3 stages we previously identified. And for the returning part, it is by the end of this year, Chang'e 5 will get sample on the front side of the moon and getting back the samples. And Chang'e 4 was originally the backup for Chang'e 3. And after the success of Chang'e 3, CNSA have coordinated and discussed with international peers, and we have achieved this more meaningful Chang'e 4 mission. And Chang'e 4 is thus regarded as a first mission for the 4th stage of the lunar exploration program. CNSA is also inviting domestic experts for the discussion and study for the following steps. And we have 3 missions remaining apart from Chang'e 5, and that is first Chang'e 6. We plan to land and get the samples at the south pole of the moon. For the front or back side, it is dependent upon the result of Chang'e 5. And for Chang'e 7, It focuses on a comprehensive investigation on the south pole of the moon, including the landscape, the mass composites, as well as the space environment. And for Chang'e 8, in our planning, Chang'e 8 will continue with the existing tasks, and Chang'e 8 will also have the moon surface experiments for key technologies. For China, US, Russia, and European countries, we are discussing about whether we need to establish a research station, research base on the moon for 3D printing or for other technologies, where these technologies could be tested and experimented on the surface of the moon. And through Chang'e 8, we will test certain technologies and to lay the foundation for Chinese and foreign scientists to establish the research base on the moon surface.
I'd like to ask, in total, how much have you
From
spent
Reuters?
on the Chang'e-4 project? Why is this a good use of Chinese taxpayers' money? Thank you.
我是来自路透社的记者。我的问题是在嫦娥4工程方面，总共的经济的投入一共是多少？为什么说这样使用，这样对纳税人的资金的使用是一个很好的一个方式？谢谢。
刚才说我们这个探月工程啊，已经启动10多年了。我们从前面绕了回。
Moon exploration program, it has been initiated for more than a decade, from rotating, landing, and returning of samples. We have 3 stages, and by Chang'e 4, we have another era, and for CNSA, we have the discussion between Chinese and foreign experts. If we do not have this Chang'e 4 mission, we do not have these actual results. After we have discussed, we relaunched this backup plan for Chang'e 4. It does not cost much. It is similar to building 1 kilometer of highways or railways. For China's investment in space programs and in moon exploration programs, the investment is totally in line with China's economic development. As we have developed economy, we can see the space exploration will need to play the role of exploring the world and contributing to the international society. It needs to show the major country strength and contribution.
谢谢主持人，光明日报记者。刚刚那个吴局长开篇就提到了这个工作任务，现在进入了科学探测。
From Guangming Daily.
然后呢，我们嫦娥4号也配置了很多的载荷。
You have talked about we come into an era of scientific investigation. And may I ask, what are the following investigation and what are the expected results? And we will invite Mr. Wu to answer questions. And now, for Chang'e 4 mission is entering into the stage of exploration. We have 3 kinds of expected objectives. One is for the landing site's landscape. Previously, we referred to remote sensing, about 100 kilometers away in the orbit. But now we can take a very close look. You can see the images of the neighboring terrain, and you can see this kind of image. And through the rover, we will get the first ever geographical picture. It can cover about 100 to 200 kilometers about the composition as well as the structure. It is essential to talk about the origin and the formation as well as even the age of the moon. This is also our expected results. And the rover as well as the probe will explore the space environment, the radiation from the universe as well as the radiation of the sun as well as the different kind of coronal mass ejections. And we have different kind of payloads. We will have the operation for the mass compositions on the far side of the moon. And these achievements are all the first for human beings. And these achievements will be really original. And in the past, no one has been to the far side of the moon. And these kind of achievements and exploration will be influential.
好，谢谢，我是 CGTN 中国国际电视台的记者。那么昨天呢 ，CGTN 的海外社交账号呢，也预告了今天的这个提问环节。那么海外网友提了很多的问题。那么其中呢，美国网友提问，为什么嫦娥4号没有使用一台拍摄彩色照片的设备？
And for U.S. netizens have asked that why Chang'e-4 has not used one equipment to take colorful pictures. And for the lander and rover, how many cameras are installed and what are the functions? Why the first picture is a little bit reddish?
那个嫦娥4号探测器呢，是装有黑白的相机，有彩色的相机。
For Chang'e-4 probe, it has black and white camera and color photo camera, suiting different functions. For the whole probe, it has monitoring camera as well as other kind of cameras. On the rover, we have navigation camera as well as the panoramic camera. And for panoramic photo, we use color camera, but for navigation and other purposes, we use the black and white camera. And that is to serve the different functions of each camera. For instance, if we have monitor camera, it is to monitor the separation of the probe and the rover, and for navigation camera, it is to gather the image in the neighboring sites and to have the 3D remodeling and to offer evidence for the navigation for the planning of the route. Therefore, for the Chang'e-4 cameras, we have a dozen of them. And you talk about how we can achieve and get a picture of Chang'e-4. And for the probe and rover, they take picture of each other. The probe take picture of the rover and vice versa. And on the top of the lander, we have a camera, and that is like a selfie from the top. And that is relying on the camera of the terrain. And therefore, we can get the picture from the top view. And you have asked about why the first picture is a little bit reddish. For different camera, it is to serve different function. And maybe the first picture you see, you can feel that for the backside, for the dark side of the moon, you can see the impactor as well as the terrain, but from what I see, I can say that the equipments are functioning well and there's no obstacles in the communication, and that is the possible prerequisite for the releasing of the rover. So we can see the first picture, it is to show the the terrain, whether there is obstacle, and it is for us to make the first-hand decision on the following up separation of probe and rover. So that camera is a color photo, and we need to get the picture fast and to decide on future steps. And later on, we can adjust the color. And that is why when you see the picture, it is a little bit reddish.
谢谢主持人，我是来自《环球时报》的记者，有这样的一个问题，就是中国能否透露和何时中国和美国 LRO 团队之间有怎样的合作细节？同时，在未来，美国的国家航空局和中国的航天局在
elaborate on the LRO cooperation between China and the US. For CNSA and NASA, will there be any discussion for the cooperation in the future? Our cooperation with NASA, we have met each other frequently on multilateral occasions. We have discussed possible cooperation. And last year, we have met, the heads of both organizations have met, and we wanted to cooperate, especially in terms of deep space exploration. And for Chang'e-4 mission, NASA has proposed that maybe the LRO satellite in the lunar orbit is used to observe certain information upon the landing, and the scientists from both parties have kept close cooperation and dialogue. And through the communication, the US side has sent information of their satellites, and Chinese side has sent the exact position and the landing time of Chang'e-4 lander. But for the US satellite has little fuel, and it could not adjust the orbit. And when we land, the US satellite is not in the right position. So real-time monitoring is not possible. And now NASA has now released certain images when passing through and passing by. And the cooperation is the joint will of scientists. For lunar exploration and deep space exploration, it is to discover the secrets of the universe. And these are the joint responsibility of all countries across the world. For US-China, we are the strong power of space exploration, and we need to focus more on cooperation to contribute to the future exploration.
谢谢主持人，中评社记者提问。嫦娥4号实现了多个首次，引起了广大网友的热议。我们注意到广大网友也是关心中国的载人登月
Chang'e-4 have hit various records, and netizens focus more on China's crewed lunar exploration. So would you introduce about this? We have mentioned about the robot landing. And the Chinese government have identified that for the planning for the development before 2030, we have the planning for Chang'e 5, 6, 7, 8, these different missions. And for the manned lunar exploration, all the world are focusing on this. Nowadays, for the Trump presidency, the US has proposed a plan of returning to the moon. And China is actually organizing and inviting the scientists to accelerate researching in terms of the manned lunar landing. So we talk about the necessity, feasibility, economic efficiency, and what kind of expected results. And when is the timeline? All these are under discussion, and it is not up for decision making.
21世纪经济报道提问，刚才吴总提到就是嫦娥8号是准备
from 21st Century Economic Journal. So you have talked about Chang'e 8. Chang'e 8 is planned to explore the possibility of building a research base on the moon. So this is also what we want to know more about. To build a research base on the moon, what are the costs? Will it be more expensive than building a space station? And for this kind of aspect, would you introduce more details? And what are the timelines? Will it be cooperation between China and other countries?
回答你嫦娥8号要做哪些事儿。那个关于月球科研基地啊，
I will answer first
论证当中是一个概念性的蓝图。
For the research base on the moon, all these are in the conceptual discussion stage. There is no specific plans.
都提出了相关的概念。
And for the European side, US, Russia, and China, we have put forward related concepts. Maybe it is dependent on the future needs about robots, humans, astronauts. If we have more frequent missions, if we need infrastructure to support regular exploration. And this infrastructure is not just a building, it is a joint contribution of various countries. It is just like for this Chang'e-4 mission or Yu-2 relay satellite, it can be open to further use. And maybe if we make effort in terms of the solar power generation or other kind of endeavor, it may be open to follow-up use. So it is not simply about a research base, but we need to be able to add certain functions suitable for future use. For the moon, the rotating cycle is about 27.3 days. And if the moon is facing us, we can say it is 13 days, and the far side 13 days. And if we have a long-term research and for the human being to work on the moon, we can say the temperature varying from more than 100 degrees Celsius to minus 180 degrees Celsius. This is very challenging. And we can see that the south pole or north pole of the moon, maybe there exists the continuous light. And the daytime may be more than 180 days. And this offers the possibility for long-term scientific research. This is the most precious condition. And for following up exploration, we focus on the South Pole or the North Pole for long-term monitoring. And that is why we will want to build a research base on the South Pole. So what about the cost? From Chang'e 1 to Chang'e 5, we can refer to the investments, the laboratories, as well as for other researchers, we can make an estimate. It will not cost too much. And for international cooperation, we welcome that in the process of building this research base, we are willing to cooperate with the international organizations as well as countries. We want to have long-term and in-depth cooperation. We can install foreign payloads and equipment, and for the next step, we can cooperate with foreign countries for certain system level or subsystem level functions.
谢谢主持人。新华社记者提问，就是探月工程嫦娥4号任务的成功，对我国商业航天领域。
From Xinhua News Agency, the success of Chang'e-4. What are the influence on the commercial space development? And for the lunar exploration program, and actually the relation between these exploration and commercial application, there is a difference. For commercial space exploration, it is to draw social capital to participate in the space endeavor. We focus on applying the space technology to serve the actual needs of the people. And for lunar exploration and deep space exploration, this is national level behavior. It is the contribution for the whole human being to explore the universe. It is for public good. And for China to have this lunar program, the influence on commercial application will be in the following aspects. We have positive influences. First, for Chang'e-4 mission, we can see the organizations, media, individuals, and social capitals. They focus more on the high technology for the space programs. And this will be a driving force for the participants to invest in space-related industries and technologies. China has issued various kind of permits and access. We welcome social capital as well as international capital. So we have the installation of payloads from foreign countries. We pool our money, pool our resources to finish one mission. And second, for the lunar program, we have witnessed cutting-edge technologies which can lead the future. And these technologies can be transformed and transferred in the future to serve the society. And for social capital as well as private enterprises, we welcome them to participate in the transferring, transformation, and industrialization of these technologies. And third, for Luxembourg as well as the US, they have adopted certain laws to encourage private enterprises to explore the moon. And from the perspective of Chinese government, we will be open-minded in the future. For the lunar mission and Mars mission, we will resort to multiple ways. We will welcome social participation and international participation, also including the participation from different industries. Therefore, we can pool more resources to actually achieve this mission for the whole human being. As time is limited, only enough for 2 questions. From Zhejiang Daily, academician Wu, it is a bold decision to have the soft landing on the far side of the moon. Why for the decision? And what are the technology challenges we need to tackle for this mission? I will try to answer your questions. Why we go to the far side of the moon? I think there are certain considerations. One is from a scientific perspective. For the landing site and the far side of the moon, it is an ancient impactor, and the terrain as well as the composition will be more representative for the moon history. And for the far side of the moon, there is a natural shield. And it is beneficial to the low-frequency radio astronomy observation. And this decision is based on the actual conditions for the moon. And secondly, from the engineering perspective, we focus on the near side of the moon for several decades. And for my colleagues and I, we hope that we can cover the whole moon. And here we launch on the far side, and maybe we can cover any other areas in the future. And for these kind of landings show that we are able to get the data that we previously could not. And it is helpful for us to know better about the moon. And for the far side of the moon, what are the technological challenges? We have mentioned before that for this landing, the difference as compared to before missions is first communication. And for this time, Chang'e-4 mission includes 3 spacecrafts and 2 missions. Last year, we launched the Zezhou relay communication satellite. It is not only about getting the message through. The relay satellite has big antennae for small platform, and it is different from what we have for the Earth's relay satellite. And for the Yu-2 second, we have the distance of 80,000 kilometers, and from the size, the weight, it is much more smaller. And secondly, we talk about the soft landing on complex terrain. We have mentioned before that if we need to add, we can say that on the far side of the moon, the terrain is complex. We focus on safety, reliability. But if we do not choose the appropriate side, the communication will also be limited. And for the mobility technology, as well as the gathering of the temperature, these kind of technologies are all the highlights of this mission. So, to decide upon the far side, it shows that all scientists have the spirit of exploring. In the past, we tried to catch up with the international level, international exploration. But for this mission, we have achieved a success even without foreign precedents.
这样吧，这边这个第3排这位女士的。
谢谢主持人。中央广播电视总台、中央电视台的记者。是这样，我想问一下这个嫦娥4号的一个细节的问题。就是在CCTV 的这个过程中，在100米悬停。
So we talk about Chang'e-4, a detailed question. In the landing process, it suspends at 100 meters. So what are the directions and how many meters for the movement? And upon this juncture, maybe it is a nervous time for the control unit people and how to evaluate this technology. For Chang'e-4 in the landing process, it suspends at 100 meters, and we have the precise avoidance of obstacles. So upon the information we get through the navigation and remote sensing, and upon the image we get, we can say that the lander has moved in the direction of southwest about 8 meters. And you mentioned that whether this time is a nervous time for the people working there. Back then, we did not know. The whole process was automated, and because the transmission of information is delayed. And we can only refer to the analysis of information to get a glimpse of this kind of process. And for the landing site, we can see about 10 meters to the south there is an impactor, and upon 10 meters to the north there is also another impactor. So from the result we can see this kind of technique is really efficient. And for the landing process, for the last 100 meters, it is actually very exciting, and we have very precise landing. It is at the expected landing site. From the image, you can see that there are 4 impactors, and in the middle of these 4 holes, we have landed. And we have even landed with a slope on the ground. And so now it is rather important for us to decide on future directions for us to move. And now the probe is preparing to move southward and then westward and northward. So these are the expected routes with less obstacles. And for the next step, we will actually move in the previous mentioned directions. So you talk about focusing on Chang'e and Yu2, but now we can see these probes and ropes are in the rest. So we enter into the 14 days of a period, and we are wakening up these probes and rovers, and the Yu2 will be moving. And we have considered that for the northwest direction may be better suited for the exploration, and for Yu2 rover we will take this direction for the exploration, and for the lander will remain at the exact place, the original place. And we hope that you keep focusing on Chang'e-4 mission. As time is limited, this is the end of today's press conference. Thank you all for participating.